Okay, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions, where we're going over the career of the next big thing, Brock Lesnar. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank, and let's go with this one, man. He came Brock Lesnar came out in a year that I don't know about you, but to me, 2002 was one of their best years
Yeah, absolutely.
as far as rosters, storylines, and now even go with the OVW class that came up in 2002. Benjamin, Lesnar, Orton, Batista, Cena. I mean, oh my God, the class that they had coming up on top of the roster they already had was just phenomenal.
hmm
And a little quick background on his OVW career. He signed with WWE in 2000. And he was actually a three-time tag team champion in OVW with Shelton Benjamin. They were known as the Minnesota Stretching Crew. Wasn't a whole lot of, I guess, thought put into the name, but considering both were from Minnesota and they both went to school, they were real close. So everything clicked with them. Brock Lesnar, like the rest of them, did not last long in the OVW crew. They quickly came up. I mean, this was just a Hall of Fame class. I don't think it's ever going to be matched again. We got pretty close when Rollins, Reigns, and Ambrose came up with NXT, something like that. But the class like this, never going to be duplicated again.
No. And Lesnar was way ahead.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They said he caught on extremely quick. The only one that might have caught on quicker or the same is Kurt Angle, probably.
Yeah,
that caught on like that.
The only thing I didn't like about his first run in WWE was the fact that it was way too fast, and we'll get to that in a second. He debuted on Monday Night Raw on March 18, 2002. Just a random show up, just attacking Al Snow, Maven, Spike Dudley, all the Hall of Famers during a hardcore title match. Just came in, made himself known. Nobody knew he was making his debut. I mean, the impact he made, I remember watching Monday Night Raw. I was looking, I was like, who the heck is this guy?
Yeah, I was working that night at Blockbuster that night, and I was watching it, and I was like, who the hell is this guy? Like, I had heard about him because I used to follow the stuff online.
Yeah.
So I knew I had heard about Brock Lesnar, but I never actually saw, his work. So it was shocking.
So that explains why my new releases didn't go out that night.
Yeah.
We were too busy. Don't feel bad. July 4th, later that year, I spent the closing shift watching Edge and Hogan win the tag title, so don't worry about it. We could say all this now. In any event, he was accompanied by Paul Heyman, which now, after the invasion was all over, everybody was wondering what Heyman is going to do with WWE. Is WWE going to fire him? This was the best thing they can do for him because I don't know about you, but to me, Paul Heyman's a wrestling genius.
Yeah.
Business-wise, not so much. But wrestling mind, he sees things that other people don't. And I really wish Vince would listen to him more over the years than he did, because he sees things in wrestling in people that others don't. And I sort of see where he's coming from, especially recently. He was trying to push with Ricochet, and especially when Lesnar fought him. And Vince just is like, I don't see it. I don't see it. And I kind of did, but whatever. Heyman has that wrestling mind, and putting Lesnar with him worked. And what's funny was he was drafted to Raw because right around that time they did the brand extension because they had too many wrestlers. And Heyman this is where the nickname came in, the next big thing. And I liked it, and it took off with the fans. It kind of hit.
He gave that speech though. You remember that speech that Heyman gave when he was saying about how he's the reason why there even was an Attitude Era? Because they took it from ECW, and he knows how to find.
He's right.
He knows how to find talent, and he's like, and I'm telling you right now, this is the next big thing.
I mean, you look at the talent that ECW actually had that Vince McMahon was able to acquire. Not like Bischoff, going in there and doing what he did. Vince, at least, if he took something, he gave something back to Heyman. At least
they were subsidizing them. They were giving them money.
Yeah, at one point he had given him $50,000. He even helped them promote the pay-per-view that they were trying to launch. So I mean, they were working together. So in any event, they gave Lesnar's first feud was the Hardy Boys, which I thought this was funny because watching the two of them just try to beat this guy down, it's like it's just not working.
I felt bad for them though.
I did too, because the run that they were on, and now all of a sudden they're going to be ragdolls.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. To me, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, because you know what Heyman's going to destroy them.
Yeah.
Not Heyman. I'm sorry, Lesnar.
Lesnar.
Is going
I
to
mean,
destroy them.
why would you have these guys you built them up and then just for them to get squashed?
I mean, that's what you have Al Snow, Maven, and Spike Dudley
Right, those
for.
guys for, not, I mean,
Not the Hardys. I mean, come on.
it was what it was.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, the Hardys did hold their own, but ultimately, you knew who was going to be the victor in the feud. So he actually defeated Jeff Hardy by knockout at Backlash that year, on his first pay-per-view. And he defeated the Hardys at Judgment Day with Heyman as his partner. And what's funny is they went overseas, and it was the Hardy Boys that fought Brock Lesnar, and it was Shawn Stasiak. And I remember Lesnar. I watched this. I think it was Global Warming 2002, because they actually released it later in the year that year, but it was filmed prior to The Rock losing the title to him, because it was right around that card, that tour anyway. I remember him telling Stasiak, "You stay there, you stay put, you shut up, you don't come in the ring." And he tried to tag himself in, and Lesnar just destroyed him. I mean, he's like, "I got the Hardys, don't worry about it." So I thought that was funny. His quick rise to fame was not even a couple of months into the organization. He goes into the King of the Ring tournament and he wins it. Now, this is where this is where they actually, if you remember, they reinstated, you win the King of the Ring, you get the title shot.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why.
You know, it's also interesting too is the fact that RVD was getting a little bit of a push at that point too, and I remember thinking, like, I knew it was going to be RVD or Lesnar. It was going to be one or the other, and of course it's them in the finals, right? It was RVD versus Lesnar, which is a really good match.
Yes, it was.
But I felt like RVD probably should have gotten the nod just because of the fact that RVD had been in the business for so long at that point.
Yeah, and Lesnar was only there a few
months.
Right,
I felt like they should have held off on Lesnar a little bit longer. But I guess because The Rock was about to leave, Vince was like hell bent on
the big guy.
The big guy, yeah. So
see, I don't understand why they do that when they push somebody too fast. I like it where they go up the ranks. You start. You have a couple of feuds. You go for the Intercontinental or the United States title, depending on what show you're on. You start going up the ladder and then make your status. I mean, this guy was like instant main eventer.
Yeah, it was quick
for the belt.
It was even quicker than Angle.
Yeah, and I mean, and look who he destroyed in just the 5 months before he fought The Rock.
Look who they wanted him to destroy and
Hogan.
Wanted to and said no.
Oh, Austin.
Yeah. That was supposed to be the King of the Ring qualifying match.
I don't blame Austin I don't agree with the way he did it, but I can understand his frustration. Like, you just came off the biggest year of your career after injury, holding the title, and now I'm a placeholder on Monday Night Raw in a qualifying match.
In a qualifying match.
I'm going to lose. And this is not even, and he wasn't so much mad, and I'll cover this when we do the Steve Austin episode. It wasn't so much that Austin was aggravated that he was going to lose to Lesnar. It was that there was no hype. He was mad because there was no hype build up to a pay-per-view. No. He wanted to do this on a pay-per-view.
He wanted to make money. He figured they could
exactly.
Make
money. And to be honest, an Austin Lesnar match, it deserved to be on Backlash or Judgment Day leading to it.
Yeah.
Why not? But the fact that he thought he was going to lose on Monday Night Raw to win a qualifying match, he was frustrated and he up and left. Now, the way he left, I didn't agree with. And I didn't agree with the way that The Rock came over from SmackDown and Vince McMahon. They're verbally bashing him on Raw. I didn't think that was right, but that's for that episode. But look at the other guys that Lesnar just went through in that timeline. RVD, the Hardys, Hulk Hogan. He just embarrassed them. Ric Flair.
Who did he beat in the King of the Ring besides RVD?
Test.
So it was because I haven't seen that one in years. So it was only two. It was only two matches. It was a semifinal and final.
It was a semifinals and finals.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Right.
He beat. I remember he beat Test which was an all right match. Test kind of tried to hold his own, but he couldn't. But the match with RVD was good. Their feud going through from there, because you remember, I think it was in July that they had a ladder match for the Intercontinental title and the Money in the Bank contract.
I remember that,
which I thought was cool. And so
but he ran. Yeah, he ran through Flair before that. You had
Oh
mentioned
my god!
beat
And then
Flair.
just the Hulk Hogan match was embarrassing.
That was the worst.
It
I
was.
couldn't
And I
believe Hogan did the job too on SmackDown. He did the job.
well,
I couldn't believe it.
by this point he was playing ball. I mean, he got what he wanted. He became champion when he got back. He
But then
loses
he,
the belt.
I mean, I don't want to get sidetracked. I know Hogan leaves
Yeah,
shortly after that. He had a phone
yeah. Before he re-signed the
contract,
contract.
something about the
Yeah,
contract. Yeah, but
yeah.
anyway, yeah, that was
I was
sad.
really surprised that he played ball with them. I really was.
And then Hogan had you could see the blood capsules.
Oh my god, yeah, that was so bad. He spit it out. It was actually
It was on his shoulder.
Lesnar's
Yeah.
shoulder, and I'm like, God damn, dude, you can't even do
And
this
so he
right.
ended. He killed Hulkamania.
Yeah, how many times somebody says that?
Yeah, I know. Hulkamania is dead.
Actually, go. Let's backtrack a little bit. You were asking about the King of the Ring qualifier. I actually have that. He won the 2002 King of the Ring. He defeated Bubba Dudley in the first round. It was supposed to be Austin. That's who they replaced him with was Bubba Dudley because now the Dudleys were broken up. Booker T was in the quarterfinals, Test in the semifinals, and RVD in the finals, but they only had the semifinals and the finals of pay per view as usual. So, and then at Vengeance, he lost to RVD by disqualification, which okay. I mean, it's RVD was the Intercontinental Champion, so obviously they didn't want Lesnar going in his title for title with The Rock. On July 22nd, 2002, Lesnar actually joined SmackDown, and he had a quick feud with Hogan in August, like we just talked about. Hogan fought him in the number one contendership to face The Rock, and
That's
just
right,
he was
yeah.
oh my god, he just Hogan was he had it. He went for the leg drop, and just Lesnar just threw him right off and F5'd him and had the bear hug on. I mean, he just
That was
destroyed
sad.
him.
I didn't like seeing that, man. I didn't like seeing that. As a Hogan fan, forget the politics aside.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like, come on, man. You know, have Hogan get destroyed like that?
I mean, like I had said before on the July 4th episode of SmackDown, Hogan teamed with Edge to go for the tag titles, and that was the only night that he came out to Real America.
Yeah.
That night with him and Edge, and I remember working that night. It was me and Gargiulo that were working that, and we were glued to the TV watching Hogan and Edge win the tag titles that night, and listening to Real America for the first time in years. And of course, then he loses it the next month, but whatever. So now he goes on to SummerSlam, and unfortunately, with the stacked card that SummerSlam was, I mean, you were at my house, we watched it. This was a stacked card from top to bottom. Unfortunately, the main event sucked.
Yeah, but how about the build-up? The build-up was great. Like they had the mind games. You know, Lesnar like walked right by The Rock on the ramp, and he didn't even look at him. He just like kept walking. He was playing mind games with The Rock, and
like, I'm not intimidated by you. I don't sweat you. You sweat me.
And then you saw The Rock training in Miami in the stadium where he played college football. He was running up the steps. They showed him training, doing the box jumps, also in the gym. Then they showed Brock training on the punching bag and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's funny they do all this considering you know what the outcome is going to be.
Well, that was what the problem with this main event was, that all of us knew The Rock was leaving to go film the Scorpion King, I believe, at the time. So you know,
because he was booed during the match.
Yeah, well, that's why they booed him. They booed him because he was leaving.
We knew what the outcome was.
I think that was in Long Island, right? Nassau was it Nassau Coliseum?
Which is why I think that the no holds barred unsanctioned fight between Triple H and Shawn Michaels should have been the main event because everybody knows that The Rock is leaving and we know what the outcome is going to be, that Lesnar's going to beat him.
But you know what the thing is? I remember, I think it was a SmackDown before that or something where The Rock was on and The Rock was getting cheered like crazy. It was right before SummerSlam. And then you go from him getting cheered like crazy to getting booed out of the building.
Yeah, which is probably why they had the idea when they brought him back in 2003 that he would do the heel gimmick.
Yeah. But the match itself wasn't bad. It was just that the crowd. It was the crowd that booed, and it kind of it took away from.
And the fact that we knew the outcome.
Yeah, we knew the outcome. We already knew what was going to happen.
I mean, most of the time we know the outcome anyway. But I mean, this was just. You could have bet the house on it. You know,
we already
he's losing the belt.
Yeah, we already know. I thought The Rock did a good job though of putting him over. He made him look good.
Yeah, a lot better than what he did with Goldberg. But yeah.
No, that wasn't The Rock's fault. That was Goldberg's fault. I don't think so. We agree to disagree. I think The Rock did everything he could in that one. Not to get sidetracked, but
yeah,
Rock definitely did a good job in this one, and Lesnar also, because Lesnar could wrestle, obviously. So.
And still to this day, I wish we would get at least a rematch from that.
Rock versus Brock too. Yeah, it would have been
exactly.
Cool.
And to this day, we still could do that because The Rock is in the best shape of his life. Lesnar, obviously, we all know is coming back at some point to continue wrestling. I mean, at some point, I wish they would just give us the rematch. It would be cool if they did it next year at SummerSlam to mark the 20th anniversary of that match.
Mm.
And I think I just I think I just gave Vince McMahon an idea. I think if he ever sees this, that would be a decent idea next SummerSlam to have Rock Brock 2. But this time we don't know the outcome. Yeah. Hopefully The Rock wins. In any event, he won the title against The Rock. Again, we all knew this was coming. He was the youngest champion now at the age of 25. So, wow, that makes him 45 for next year's match. Why not? Rock will be 50. He also became the second fastest wrestler to win the WWE title from the debut. It was 126 days. Flair holds the record for 113 days from debut to winning the title in 1992. So congratulations, Rick. You got something.
Yeah, but that's not exactly the same though.
I know.
At that point, how many years was Flair in the business?
Exactly, and how many times was he already champion?
He was already in his 40s. Yeah, I mean, but anyway.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So from there now, when Stephanie McMahon told Bischoff that Lesnar would no longer be on Raw, it prompted Bischoff to establish a new champion, and then that's where right after SummerSlam is where they brought in they renamed the Undisputed title to the WWE title, and they brought the World Heavyweight Championship in. So now you had the two champions. His next battle, I guess, after The Rock, and I actually liked when these two feuded, and they've been doing it for years. His next feud was The Undertaker, following The Rock, and these guys over the next 2 months just brought the house down on pay-per-views. So
yeah,
they did a great job in 2002 and even 2003 when they feuded as well. At Unforgiven on September 22nd, 2002, the match ended in a double disqualification, and at No Mercy, they fought in the Hell in a Cell rematch.
Hell in a Cell, yeah. And this was the American. I guess he wasn't considered American Badass. He was.
No, he was
not Big Evil because he was good, right?
Yeah. By this point, yeah, he had turned back to fan favorite, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess he was still kind of American Badass. I don't know what you would call it.
It was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
The Undertaker.
It was that was good. I don't remember what happened with his hand. I remember he broke his hand or something. I don't know if that was legitimate or no. Remember Undertaker had the cast.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, he did. But yeah, he broke his hand, but he didn't have to miss any time for it. They kept.
They just incorporated it into the story that he had the cast. Yeah.
Yeah, like Lesnar did something to him.
Yeah, that was kind of. I mean, I was rooting for Undertaker, but.
Oh, we all were.
Yeah.
I mean, we all wanted somebody to not slay the beast at the time. That's later on. But we wanted somebody to take Lesnar out. Like, he was undefeated. Somebody had to do it. Mm-hmm. And so after Hell in a Cell, the feud's over. He beats he pretty much wipes the floor with the Undertaker.
I know. I felt bad, man. I felt bad.
I did too. His next title defense after that was a handicap match where it was him and Heyman defending. They went overseas again, and he defended it against Edge. And I did watch this match, and Edge really did hold his own. And if there was ever a time for Vince to look at Edge to be a main eventer, it was at that point, because he did hold his own against Brock. He didn't win the title, he didn't win the match, but he held his own. And even to this day, there's another match that you wish you could see again. I wouldn't do that now.
But I mean, the thing is, Edge is a really good wrestler. I'm not an Edge fan at all. I'll tell you right now. I think he's boring, to be honest with you. But I'm talking about his in-ring work. Very good wrestler. I mean, so it doesn't surprise me that he was able to put on a good match with Lesnar, because the guy is very capable in the ring. I just never liked his character. That's me personally.
That character back then, or when he turns the ultimate opportunist?
I never liked his character ever. No, I just didn't. They used to call him the rated R superstar, right?
Yeah.
The most controversial. What didn't they call him? The most controversial?
Something like that. Yeah. Well, he's still doing the rated R superstar now.
Yeah. Side note, I don't want to get sidetracked, but he did a video about he has a really bad neck injury.
Yeah.
He had those multiple fusions. Mm-hmm. And I followed some of the stuff he said in terms of working out with that injury, and it helped me out a lot. So if you're watching this, thank you, man.
So you don't like his wrestling, but appreciate the
No,
medical
it's
advice.
not personal. It's not personal, but yeah.
Some people just don't. There's quite a few wrestlers out there that I don't care for that I wish would not there.
Right.
Like the last batch of wrestlers that released, I'm looking at the roster going, why is everybody complaining?
Yeah.
They're all jobbers, but it is what it is. So in any event, now next up on at Survivor Series, and I actually liked this pay-per-view when he fought when he defended the title against Big Show.
Yeah.
And this is where the night Heyman turned on him. And actually, Lesnar was coming out as a fan favorite in this because of the way they pulled off the character with the Big Show. And when he got him up for the F5, it's just like Madison Square Garden went nuts.
But all right, had he turned? Oh, because that night he turns on him, right? That's what it is.
Yeah,
that night he betrays him.
When the referee came out, because the one was knocked down, when the referee came out to count to 3, Heyman pulls him out and knocks him out, and that's where Lesnar sees it. And Big Show gets the victory and gets the title off of Brock Lesnar.
No, yeah, and I didn't think it was a good idea to turn him babyface, though. I really like Lesnar as a heel. I understood why they did it, but I wasn't crazy about it. But that F5, man, that he got. Remember, you can't F5 the Big Show. Remember that Heyman was cutting that promo? Yeah. Even though Heyman was, you can't. It was a few other things, but I just remember you can't F5 the Big Show. And he got him up and he did it. The only thing I've seen that's as impressive was when Dave F5'd you in your wrestling match inside a Blockbuster during inventory. That's the only act of strength that I saw that was comparable to that F5.
Can I give you a little tidbit on that?
No. Oh, you helped him? Man.
Come on, you have to.
Come on, man. You had it.
No, Dave is a strong guy. He got me up. He got me up.
That was crazy, man. But anyway.
If Steve Geraci's watching this,
the hell with him.
I don't think he's watching anyway. So now Heyman turns on Big Show. Heyman turns on Lesnar.
On Lesnar, yeah.
And so now you got Big Show as the WWE champion. You got, and once I saw this, I kind of had a feeling like, okay, if they're turning it, number one, they took the title off of him. They've turned him babyface now. It's the end of the year. He's going to win the Royal Rumble. I mean, it's just I had that feeling when I watched this and saw what happened. Like, okay.
He's got
regardless of the outcome of the next few months, he's going to win the Rumble.
Yeah,
now he's going to have the crowd backing him, which again, to me,
did he
too fast?
He didn't get an immediate rematch.
No, actually, what happened was at Armageddon, Lesnar interfered and attacked Big Show against Kurt Angle.
Okay,
and Angle actually won the title, so he got his match against Big Show at the Royal Rumble.
Okay,
I believe it was the winner of that got into the Rumble. So the feud ended with them at the Royal Rumble, but
that was a great feud though. Big Show, and even though I didn't like the fact that they turned Lesnar babyface,
yeah,
I didn't like it, and I didn't like that they split him up from Heyman. I felt like,
yeah, I didn't agree with that either.
Not that I don't want to say that he needed him. I don't want to say that, but
he does because his mic.
His mic,
not to get vulgar, his mic skills suck.
Yeah, it was so good together. I didn't like them splitting them up. I didn't like that. I didn't like it at all. When does he do that suplex at the ring?
That was on SmackDown. That was actually during this time.
Yeah. It's during that time, right?
Yes. The ring just blows up.
I remember watching
Robinson was like, "What?"
I remember that. That was cool. I remember that.
They've tried
it since, but it's not the same.
No, it'll never be the same as the first because I don't think. Sometimes I believe when they do it, they set the ring up to where if you do it, you know it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This ring, I think, actually legitimately broke. This was not staged. No, I really think this. Come on, I really think this one. The way the reaction from everybody from all ends, I really think this wasn't supposed to happen.
No,
from then on, I believe they've planned it to try to duplicate the reaction. But when you see this, it's just like, oh my god,
it was good.
I mean, just the fact that he got him up for that suplex was amazing.
Yeah, Brock was freakishly strong, man.
Seriously, man. Yeah. So, on the following SmackDown, now after Armageddon, Angle's the champion. He announced Heyman as his manager, which really now gets under Lesnar's skin. And he denied Lesnar a title shot, despite promising one if he helped him. Because I do remember the skit that Angle had gone to Lesnar prior to thinking like, if you help me get over Big Show, I'll give you your rematch that Big Show wouldn't give you.
Right.
So the storyline. So we all know what we're heading to. We're heading to these two, and in a minute I'll get to it in a minute. But that match almost never happened. So going into now 2003 with Lesnar and his already freakishly quick rising career. His feud with Heyman and Big Show ended at the Rumble with Lesnar's victory, and the stipulation was the winner goes onto the Royal Rumble. Lesnar, and I love this because it's not even like he had to work for it. Lesnar entered the Rumble that year, number 29. So it's like he barely has to do anything. He eliminated Matt Hardy, of course, Charlie Haas, Shelton Benjamin, and then The Undertaker to win the Rumble. And I remember The Undertaker gave him his props at the end of the match. He's sitting outside, and he nodded to him, and he said, "Go get him." And so now we know it was setting up to Angle versus Lesnar for WrestleMania. So at No Way Out, it was actually now Lesnar and Benoit teaming up it was a handicap match against Angle, Haas, and Benjamin, 2-on-3 handicap. This match was actually pretty good. And I don't like to praise Chris Benoit matches anymore, but I will say that this one was pretty good. But, with him teaming up with him. So it was actually supposed to be Edge in the match, but he had gotten injured, so that's why it became a handicap match. So now leading up to WrestleMania, we all know Angle had the broken neck from the Olympics, and now the injury was really getting to him, and they were afraid that they couldn't get Angle to WrestleMania. The only thing that took away from WrestleMania 19's match was when Lesnar, I don't know if the WrestleMania jitters, the adrenaline rush, the man decides to try to do a shooting star press that he hasn't done since OVW, and they told him, do not do this move up in the roster. And he almost killed himself.
He wanted to have a WrestleMania moment.
Oh, yeah, he had a WrestleMania moment. The only guy to knock himself out.
The irony is that Angle was the one with the bad neck, and then Brock Lesnar almost breaks his own neck.
Exactly, because he didn't even come close to hitting him. I think his head just came right close to his body.
It was bad, and then they try to cover it up and say, "Oh, Kurt Angle moved away at the last second."
And he never moved.
No, he was short. He couldn't reach.
Yeah.
He didn't reach him.
How he got up and even continued to be able to F5 him, I have no idea. I mean,
they said the only reason he was able to continue is because Lesnar's neck muscles were so big and they were so strong that if they were able to absorb the impact, and he was hurt, but if it was anybody else, that could have been really bad.
He should be thankful that his career was able to continue past that, because we watched that and we were just like, oh my God, what did he just do? And it was one of those, if you've ever seen the movie Major League, the manager, goes to Willie Mays Hayes, he goes, "Nice catch, don't ever do that again." I could see Vince going to him at the end, hugging him, going, "That was a great match, don't ever do that move again." So now we've got Brock Lesnar as a 2-time WWE champion. So now look at what he's accomplished and why I don't blame him for leaving a year later. You've already been in WWE now a full year. You've been 2-time WWE champion. You've won the Royal Rumble. You've won the King of the Ring. You've beaten all the main eventers with the exception of Triple H because he's not on Raw. You've beaten this was too fast. Way too fast. I mean, this is almost, and I said this with The Rock when he first won the title. The man went from Survivor Series to WrestleMania, and in that time, he was a 3-time champion. I mean, it was just too much, the back and forth. For Lesnar, that was way too much accomplished in 1 year. So, but, kudos to him for pulling it off. It worked. I just don't think, I think it should have been slowed down a little bit. Mm-hmm. So after WrestleMania now, his first challenger is the Doctor of Thugonomics, John Cena. I actually like that gimmick, and I really wish. I wish if he comes back, he would come back to doing that.
Yeah, I don't think he can do it. But that was my favorite version of him. Was the Doctor of Thugonomics.
It was. Well,
Yeah.
if in case you haven't heard, Cena's already decided to tell everybody, yes, I will be at SummerSlam. No, I will not be there the next week. So he goes, I am one and done because he's going to shoot Argyle or some movie. So it's like we already know now the outcome of what's going to happen there, but he's not even coming back for a period of time to where we could see this. But yeah, that was his best gimmick. And not to get sidetracked on this, but I remember he was about to get fired when he was on a bus going to somewhere, and he started doing some freelance rap in the back. And Stephanie, you remember the story?
I know the story. Yeah.
Stephanie heard him, and all of a sudden created the character.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this match wasn't bad. Cena, who was returning from injury caused by Lesnar, at Backlash, the feud ended with a Lesnar victory. I thought it was a little. I mean, fighting Cena now obviously is a big main event match.
Right.
I thought it was a little weak.
Yeah, because Cena wasn't at Lesnar was like here and Cena was like here.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
And
yeah.
I think it wasn't. His title, a title shot for him. It was too soon.
Yeah.
So I mean, the match was average. I'll give it that. It wasn't great, but it was average. So on the following SmackDown now, after Backlash, we're going back to Big Show now. Because, I mean, with the brand split, I mean, SmackDown was kind of limited on the big guys of who could take him on.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only other issue that they really had was the lack of challengers for him. At Judgment Day, it was a stretcher match between which Lesnar won. That was actually a good match. I remember watching that. On June 12, 2003, they had a rematch between the two. That's where the suplex happened, by the way.
Oh, okay.
It was after. I honestly thought that's my bad. I thought it was during the feud.
So did I. I thought it was during the first feud. Yeah.
So yeah, it was on June 12, 2003. Off the top rope, causing the ring to collapse. Whether it was planned or not, I don't know. To me, it didn't look like it. I could be wrong. I'm not perfect. No. I think from there on, they've tried to duplicate that and kind of rig the ring. But because there's been times where I've heard the ring rattle a lot, and then later on that night they've done something like that. And especially they did it with Mark Henry and Big Show. I think it was 10 years ago they did that. In any event, at Vengeance now in July, Lesnar lost the title back to Kurt Angle, and for Kurt Angle to come back that fast from the injury, I was really impressed. I mean, this guy had a tremendous work ethic. And I'm actually going to enjoy when I've got a Kurt Angle episode lined up later on, and I'm going to really enjoy doing his because with all the research I've done on him and the work that this man has, I mean, it's just tremendous. And the fact that he was able to come back that fast from that injury, and not only that, but beat Lesnar and get the title back. I mean, I thought this was really cool.
Yeah, and they had I remember they had the videos of Kurt Angle training to come back, and when Kurt Angle comes back, they made him babyface again.
Yeah, and for a short time with these two.
And then Lesnar,
you remember seeing the SmackDown? They're over there, they're drinking the milk together.
Yeah,
and trying to compete around with each other.
Then he pushed them, and then
that's the Lesnar I didn't like.
Yeah,
because he was fan favorite. I'm with you. I think he should just be somebody that's permanent heel and be done with it. Because they even tried again, not to get sidetracked, when he feuded with the Wyatts about 6 years back. All of a sudden now he's the fan favorite. And to me, it just didn't. Every time you cheer Lesnar, it just doesn't work. He's just got to be a heel, man. He's just it works.
But I don't remember. It's been so long. He turns heel before SummerSlam, right before, or it wasn't babyface versus babyface, right? He was a heel going into that match, I believe.
Actually, yeah, it was before SummerSlam. You're right.
Yeah.
Once he lost the title, it was also involved in Big Show at Vengeance when he lost the title. On August 7th, 2003 on SmackDown, Lesnar was to face Vince McMahon in a steel cage match. And I do remember this because honestly, I don't know why I remember it. I remember a lot of things from 2003, mainly also with the Zach Gowen thing with Brock Lesnar. And then Stephanie McMahon was put in a match with Lesnar, thanks to Vince.
Dude, the Zach,
later on.
let me tell you something with the Zach Gallen thing, man. God forgive me, but I've laughed when he threw him down the stairs. I
You
could,
too.
yeah,
I felt bad for the kid. I mean,
no, but I know he
kudos.
wasn't really hurt, so I'm just
No, I mean,
far,
for a kid to have one leg and be able to fulfill his dream, and WWE
yeah,
allowing it, and to be honest, I mean, the kid wasn't great, but for his size and for his ability, he was good, and
yeah.
he held his own. I just
And
really couldn't see
Vince was
this.
begging him like, "No, Brock, don't do it, don't do it," and then he's like choking him out too. He's like, "You won't even see it." He's choking him out,
Didn't he
and he
do to
just
him like he did with Mysterio with the stretcher as well? He
he
threw
probably
the
I don't remember.
stretcher.
It's
Yeah,
I think I'm remembering that, but it's been so long.
I think he had Zach Gowen on a
But
stretcher too. I don't
I
remember.
remember, yeah, he probably did. The wheelchair is what I remember, and
Yes.
throwing him down the stairs on the wheelchair,
Yeah.
and the wheelchair just he tumbles down, the wheelchair falls on him. They would never do that today. Like
No.
WWE really did not care back then. They
For
did
some
not.
reason in 2003 they did some off the wall stuff because again, like Mr. America and all that stuff. It was just the
Katie
quirky
Vick.
stuff they would do. Oh yeah, on Monday Night Raw. It's just the certain things they were doing in '03 that just sticks in my mind to this day. That's like, oh my God, I can't believe he did it. Especially the whole, okay, now Stephanie and Triple H storyline, they divorced. John Cena's over there hitting on her because she just got her stuff enlarged and all that stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, just the stuff they pulled off was good. Again, like you said, they would never do it today,
No, no,
unfortunately.
no.
And I believe they need to, in some form, they need to elevate it. But in any event, getting back to this, he was supposed to face McMahon in a steel cage with Angle as a special guest referee. During the match, Lesnar passed out due to a backstage incident, and McMahon was going to pin him. Angle refused to allow McMahon to do it that way. Lesnar attacked Angle, turning heel. So this was right before SummerSlam. Lesnar went back
Hmm.
to being a heel, which again, that's where he belongs. Angle being a fan favorite, I'm not in agreement with that either. I think he's good as a heel as well. And actually, I thought back then, like when the two of them were fan favorite, I'm like, I wonder what would happen if they formed a tag team or even a stable together. And even put Haas and Benjamin in there. I mean, how cool that would have been. But
But finally, I mean, Angle versus Lesnar was a dream match because these are the
it was.
both real wrestlers. Brock in college and Kurt, an Olympic wrestler,
Yeah.
and the backstage, you know, rivalry they had, which they actually had a real wrestling match.
Yeah.
And Kurt Angle beat him.
Mm-hmm.
So something everybody wanted to see. So it was cool. We got to see it, and it was great.
3 times that year.
Mm-hmm.
They had their feud. And
Yeah.
again, you wish you could just see it one more time. Obviously, it's not going to happen anymore.
No, not now. Kurt Angle can't even move.
I read an article on him, again, not to get sidetracked, but real quick, I read an article on him how he says he's in agony literally every day of his life with his neck. And I just feel for the man. I mean,
yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, it is. Especially you and I know because we both have neck injuries and we suffer from this, not to the extent of him, but I mean, we can relate. So now he's turned heel. So leading after their match at SummerSlam on September 18th, 2003 on SmackDown, Lesnar actually wins the title for the third time, beating Angle in a classic Iron Man match that these two guys had.
Yep.
The score was actually 5-4, and there was a lot of wrestling in this match. This was maybe one of their best out of the year.
Yeah, definitely.
And if we ever do a top 10 for either guy, this has got to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got Brock Lesnar as a 3-time champion. The feud is over now with Kurt Angle. He's got the title. He took it off of him. Now, at No Mercy, we go back to The Undertaker. And he defeated The Undertaker in a biker chain match, which the stipulation was but it was a good match. And they've always had good matches, even throughout later on. It was after the interference, however, from Vince McMahon and the full-blooded Italians. Is the reason why The Undertaker lost.
The FBI.
This led up to the Buried Alive match for The Undertaker and Vince. But the full-blooded Italians, just the fact that they got put in this, I mean, and after this, I remember on SmackDown seeing it was a 2-on-1 match, Undertaker versus Nunzio and Johnny Stamboli. And I'm just laughing, going, "Are you guys for real?" I mean, this match literally was like 4 minutes,
Yeah.
and I think 3.5 of it he was literally carrying Nunzio. I just the full blooded Italians just made me laugh. So in any event, now Heyman returned to SmackDown as GM by this point around No Mercy, and Lesnar aligned himself with him once again. So now these two are back together, rightfully where they belong. At Survivor Series now, and I don't know about you, but I thought this team of his reminded me of the Survivor Series 1987 Andre the Giant's super team. And you remember who he had. Lesnar, now granted, some of these guys were either injured or barely used because some people didn't know who they were. He had Lesnar, you got Brock Lesnar has Big Show, Nathan Jones, who was supposed to be used beginning of the year at WrestleMania. I don't know to this day what happened to that tag team match at WrestleMania 19, unless Undertaker said, "Stay back here, boy, I got this." And why he didn't? Maybe he didn't want a tag match, and that's why it became a handicap match. Nathan Jones was the vignettes. They were the Bogger Road nonsense was going on for 8 months, and when the guy finally comes in, either he gets hurt or whatever, and then you don't hear from him again until he pops up here. And then you had the Blueprint, Matt Morgan, who gets mad that Sasha Banks takes his thing, but it works better for her. But Matt Morgan was a built guy, man. This guy was big. They didn't do. I don't know what happened to him. I really don't know what happened to him. And then H-Train on this team. So you look at this team, and it's like it reminded me of Andre's team of '87. It's like who's going to beat this team? Well, who are the 5 guys crazy enough to go up against these guys? Well, I got 5 crazy guys for you. Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, Bradshaw, Hardcore Holly, and John Cena. Rest in peace, guys. Lesnar was eliminated by Benoit, which that shocked me. And I really thought at that time, I had told Anna when we were watching it that I really think these 2 guys should have had a feud for the belt.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that Benoit and Lesnar would have been a good match. Now, again, I don't praise Benoit for any match anymore, but I will say that I think that those 2 going into a feud into 04, instead of Hardcore Holly getting a title shot at the Rumble, I think it should have been Benoit.
They only gave Hardcore Holly that shot because
all the main eventers were in the Rumble.
No, Lesnar had broken his neck. Remember, he broke his neck.
Yeah, and there's retribution for him.
So to make it up to him, they're like, okay, we'll put you in a.
And he destroys him in that match.
Yeah.
I mean, I always look at it like this at the Royal Rumble, that a less than average guy is going to get a title shot mainly because you have all your bigger names in the Rumble. That's not taken away from guys like Razor Ramon or anything by any means. I'm not trying to do that. But when you see Hardcore Holly getting a title shot, it's like, okay, I can see why, because all these other guys are in the Rumble. And because Hardcore Holly was in no way, a title contender. Come on. So in any event, Lesnar was eliminated by Benoit, and his team went on to actually lose that Survivor Series match, which I couldn't believe. It was like literally David and Goliath in that one. But this Survivor Series wasn't just remembered for a buried alive match or a Goliath Survivor Series team. This was the very first meeting between Brock Lesnar and Goldberg.
Yep.
And I remember seeing the 2 of them backstage, and Lesnar's talking to him, and it's just the banter between the 2. You kind of see that they were going somewhere with this.
They were both champions at the time. They both had each championship belt.
Yep.
So we thought we were headed to a champion versus champion match.
I really wish we would have. And honestly, I really wish one of them would have stuck around after that WrestleMania. We'll get to the WrestleMania in a minute. The more logical to stick around, in my opinion, would have been Brock Lesnar, because I knew Goldberg. There was no way in hell.
Right.
Both of them were offered the run of their shows and the run with the belt, which I'm thinking about it now. And if Goldberg says yes to it, there's no way Triple H is staying on Raw, because there's no way Triple H is going to stay second to Goldberg for an entire year.
No.
So I knew that wasn't going to happen. I was really hoping that Lesnar would have stuck around. So going on to 2004, like we said, he beat Bob Holly, Hardcore Holly at the Rumble. Um, he later Lesnar then you remember he goes into the Royal Rumble and attacks Goldberg.
Yeah, there was I think there was like a segment though earlier in the night. I mean, I haven't seen this in so many years, but I remember Brock and Goldberg in the locker room. It might have been that same night. 'Cause remember Goldberg had the beard.
Yeah.
It was. I don't remember what happened though. I think there was maybe just some exchange of words.
The more I try to think about it, the only segment, unfortunately, that comes to mind of that pay per view is you remember the Eddie Guerrero and Ric Flair.
Yeah, when he stole that.
Yeah. That I mean, honestly, at that pay per view, that's the only backstage segment I remember.
I remember something. I remember something happened, and then that's why I guess Brock comes out and he interferes in when Goldberg is cleaning house.
Yeah, and I didn't like the fact that they did that because I really, this is Goldberg's first Rumble one.
Yeah, and he was.
Let's see his dominance.
He was destroying everybody, and the crowd was going crazy.
Yes, including me. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then he comes and interferes, and an Angle eliminates him.
Yeah.
And so now that's over and done with. So now we're set up for No Way Out. When we did the Eddie Guerrero, then we explained how Eddie Guerrero won the number one contendership to face Brock Lesnar at No Way Out. The segments these guys did on SmackDown was just great, especially when Lesnar was showing up with the mariachi band.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the hat on.
Yeah.
I mean, just he's having a good old time because he thinks the match is a laughingstock. On paper, it is, but literally, Eddie Guerrero held his own in that match, even without Goldberg's interference, which it didn't really affect fully Guerrero beating him because the spear was earlier in the thing, and then Guerrero actually used his lie, cheat, and steal mentality with the belt to get to enable to do the frog splash. And I don't know about you, but I love the fact that Guerrero won the title that night.
Yeah, absolutely.
That to me solidified that not only one, you're possibly leaving, but two, that we're definitely going to see a Goldberg Lesnar encounter at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And we did. And I can honestly say that this is the worst match of 2004.
Yeah, I mean, because it got leaked to everybody that Goldberg and Brock were both leaving. So the fans
just like what they did
them.
to The Rock, they were booing both of them.
Yeah.
They're chanting "nah, nah, nah," and all that stuff. Nobody cares. We see a spear, boo. We see an F5, boo. The only thing that saved that match was Austin.
Being the ref.
Now, going back before this match, Lesnar stole his ATV.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because the whole locker room parts ways for Austin to get to the ring, and he just starts beating Lesnar to holy hell. And I still wish to this day that's one of my dream matches to have seen.
Yeah. Was
those two, also Austin and Goldberg. Unfortunately, with Austin's career getting cut short a year prior, none of this was going to happen. Unfortunately. So, but Austin kind of saved that match, and when he stunned both of them, Lesnar, flipping the crowd off, Austin Spear, stuns him, gives a beer to Goldberg while he's celebrating with on, and he stuns him.
He stuns him. Yeah, that was a stinker.
I mean, Lesnar leaves to pursue a football career. He gets cut 2 weeks before the season by the Vikings. I mean, didn't do anything until he. And granted, his after in-ring UFC was great. I'll give it to him.
Something happened. Lesnar wasn't happy with. He didn't want to be there. He didn't like the schedule, and he was really unhappy. I think he bought himself like a private jet or something.
Yes, yeah, I remember that story.
Just so he could fly to where he needed to go by himself, which is kind of crazy because that's a lot of money.
I think he did that shortly after and Darkseid is going to cover this later on this year, is the plane ride from hell.
I don't remember when he did it, but
remember Kurt Hennig? I took Brock Lesnar down at there.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
But he was really unhappy. He wanted to leave, and then
Well, he also had said that what's left for me to do? I've already main evented WrestleMania. I've won the Royal Rumble. I'm a 3-time champion. There was really nothing left for him to do, which is why I've said repeatedly in this episode they pushed him too fast.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
they gave him everything.
They didn't really make him work for it.
No.
So I mean, but either way, Brock's kind of a weird guy though. He kind of does whatever he wants.
He doesn't like people.
Right? He's not a people person.
He's not
at all. At all.
Which is why he lives on the border of Montana. Up there on a farm.
Right. They said that he doesn't even have like a computer or something like that. That he has to use a
So,
phone that's like miles away. I don't know if this is true or not, but whatever. But
I don't, with Sable being his wife, I don't know if it's totally electronic. Uh,
yeah, I
he's
have
totally
no. I
electronically
mean,
deprived. I don't know.
who knows? But
I do know that when he's done doing the pay per view, he's on the plane and out of here, and goes back to his solidarity and wherever he is up there, and
but he
that's okay. So that's Brock Lesnar's part one career from 2002 to 2004. A lot of accomplishments in a short time. I wish the first run would have been a lot longer. He was literally the next big thing. This was a fluke, a prodigy that came out of OVW that you only see a handful of times in your life in wrestling if you're
Mhm.
lucky. And the class, like I said, the class that he came out with was just amazing. I don't even know if we're ever going to see that again, other than when the Shield arrived 10 years
Right.
ago. I don't think we see this for a while. But I wish the run would have been longer. But he accomplished what he accomplished. He came, he conquered, he left,
Yep.
and 8 years later he returns.
And that'll be the
And
next video.
we'll cover that in the second part. His 2012 to his current run. Well, I guess up until last year.
All right, guys. So just make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care, guys.